All right. Good morning, everyone. For those of you, it's morning, and good life for everybody else. This is another chapter in our quest for knowledge and trying to improve the entire world by bringing Mashiach. And we're learning from a book which is called Torah, which is a book written by the first Rebbe of Chabad, whose freedom from prison about 250 years ago, we are going to celebrate in just next week, at the beginning of next week, Yutet Kislev. So we're talking about here, this is explaining about this week's Torah portion. Now, the Torah is a book which is written by God, written directly by God personally. And God is also the same God that took us out of Egypt, the same God that's creating us, same God that's creating all the angels and all the worlds, and he's creating us, and he's creating this world. And the point of this learning is to teach us how important this physical world is. And in order to do this, God created all these spiritual worlds just to give us a little bit of an idea of how we have no idea what's going on unless we look at the Torah. If you don't look at the Torah, and that's also not enough, you have to interpret the Torah properly. If you, without the Torah, without the proper interpretation of the Torah, as life, here you see what you got, right? You got a total confusion. The world is totally confused. Let me just close this window over here 1 second. Too much light here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh. Huh? It's a little bit better, maybe. Excuse me, look at the lighting. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's better. Huh? Good. So without the proper interpretation of the Torah, so we sort of, it's like a blind man in the middle of the afternoon. What does it say? It's just wandering around and just bumbling around, and we can't figure out what's going on. And they make up all these different religions and ideas and philosophies, figuring out, explaining what reality really is. And they get certain little parts of it. But here the Rebbe is trying to tell us how dynamic and wonderful and blessed every instant of life is, and it can be for everybody, not for everybody. So we just have to realize this. And what's the big, this really boils down to a battle. It has to be a battle. This world is a battle. We always have to be fighting in this world. And who is our biggest enemy? Ourselves. As soon as we change our outlook on the world, we understand what's going on, then we can fix things up. It's like a person, something's wrong with your car, and you open up the hood, and you see that this big old, all this machinery in there. What's going on? I thought there was just like a little battery. Change the battery. You have to know what's going on. And once you know what's going on, then you can change, right? Then you can change it. Education, that's supposed to be the purpose of education, because people naturally are not productive. They're naturally not, in harmony with the world. People are naturally selfish, and they can't get in tune with anybody else unless it's just for mutual benefit or something like that. But to live only for the truth, this is not the nature of man. And even when you make up in your mind, I'm going to live for truth, I see what is right, you still can't do it. How many people do you see? They say, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to stop this and this, and you just don't do it. I'll do it tomorrow. So we have to have the proper idea. But here we're talking about the proper idea of serving God. And that's a battle between Jacob and Aisov. Aisov is this world, the natural feelings of this world, and the natural, reaction to this world. And Yaakov is devotion to the creator of the world. And with the hope that if you really devote yourself to the creator of the world, that the creator of the world will be visible, felt, will be noticed in this physical world. Everything you look at will see This is a creation, and it's created for a purpose. That's supposed to be the idea of why man was created. He didn't exactly do it, and it waited until Jacob came along. Jacob came along, which is like 2,000 plus years, or what 2,100 something years after Adam flubbed with the tree of knowledge and good and evil, and Yaakov came to fix it up, Jacob, and that's this battle that we're talking about over here. So let's go. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav el Aisov. And once again, are we recording this? I hope we are. Yeah. Excuse me. So our Torah portion opens as Jacob, the father of Judaism, is going to meet his destructive, selfish brother, but powerful, Aisov. And Yaakov has just finished a 20-year stint by Lavan, and he succeeded. He came out with his whole family, with his wives, and Lavan was also an evil person, but gave him a big blessing. And now he's got the real problem, meeting up with Aisov. Now he's going to meet up with Aisov, and what's he going to do with Aisov? Now, if you remember before, there was also a big problem with this Aisov, that Aisov was the twin brother of Jacob, Yaakov. And so ideally, we're going to see, ideally, they had the same purpose, was to refine the world and to bring Moshiach. Moshiach is going to be a person who's going to educate the whole world. The proper way to act, just like what the Lubavitcher Rebbe is doing here, like what the Rebbes are doing, educating the world. That's what it's supposed to be. But, excuse me, as it comes out, it's going to be a long, long, long road to get Aisov to actually do this, because Aisov represents this world and the worldly urges that we have inside of ourselves, natural feelings, nature. The certainty that God does not exist and that all that really exists is me. That's Aisov. But really, this is a tremendously high source, and if this can only be transformed to good, then that's it. Then the world will be good. And it says even that was what Adam was supposed to have done, and because he didn't, so he brought death into the world. But if we can correct this, and there won't be any more death, there won't be any more suffering, no more diseases, no more corona. What are you going to do with all those masks? What are you going to do? You'll figure out what to do with them. Don't worry. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. So Yaakov is going to meet his brother Aisov, and he sends messengers. And Rashi says they weren't just messengers; they were actually angels. They were messengers, but they were because the word malach also means angels. It means angels. He wants to meet up with Aisov. Hina Yadu, it's known, Yaakov, that Yaakov's source is Mebechina Shema. Yaakov is a representative of God. Now, in fact, everything in the world is a representative of God, but it doesn't reveal it. Some are representatives of God, like we said before. In the last line we just read, the representatives of God to oppose God. That's what God wants them to do. Huh? From the olam of what's called the olam of tikkun, from the world of tikkun, the world of order. We'll talk about this in a second. B'shar shel Aisov, and the source of Aisov, this is the world of tohu. Okay, what's tikkun and what is tohu? Generally, the difference between tikkun and tohu, these are two spiritual orders of creation, how things get along with one another. Tikkun is order, harmony. Tohu is egotism, power. It's like if you have an orchestra and everybody just plays as loud as they can and as fast as they can and whatever they want. Tohu. All right, there's one advantage of that is that you see them every instrument, you see what it can do, the maximum. But there's no real order in the whole business. Some people might like that. I don't know. I guess there's jazz and this. And Yaakov, on the other hand, he represents an orderly world. In general, it's sort of like the difference between a man, a human being, and an animal. Animals have like one nature, but they're really good at it, and that's all they do is that nature. An ox is strong, a cat is agile, whatever. All these, that's their nature. A man, he can change his nature, but on the other hand, because of that, any nature he picks is not going to be as strong as that nature as it is reflected in an animal, right? The strongest person is not as strong as an ox. I think. I mean, maybe you have like Samson, you have people superhuman strength, but the human, right, as agile as you're going to get, you're not going to get as agile as a cat, right? And they're naturally that way. So, but on the other hand, cats can't change their nature. People can. People can harmonize with others, right? You never see a cow when the cows, they used to be in the cow farm here in Kfar Chabad, when they opened up the thing to give the cows to eat, right? He would open up a door and the cows would go in and they would take their places to eat, right? He would order them. So all the cows would push in. No, there was never such a thing as a cow that would say, after you, move aside. There's no such thing. Tikkun is moving aside, giving place for everybody else. And spirituality, that comes from the name of one of the names of God, which is called Mem Aleph, which is not really a name of God, Ma. It's a gematria of 45. And we're going to learn which Ma 45 is also the gematria of man, Adam. And Aisov, he represents the aspect of the tohu, separateness, that's the name, he doesn't bring it here, but that's another name of God, another gematria, which is 52. This is 45. 52, which is the normal, that's called Ban, which is the numerical value of behema, animal. So Aisov was the ideal animal man, and Yaakov was the ideal man. The oros, the tohu, and the lights of tohu, they are gedolim miyod, they're very big. The lo yachlu litlabesh b'toch kelim, and they can't be in any vessels. When they left the vessels, and they became what's called surrounding levels, and the vessels of Aisov broke and they came down below. Therefore, Aisov below is bad, is a Russia. You understand that? Probably not. So I'll try to explain it. But in the source of Aisov, b'makifim, and these surrounding levels of Tohu, the lights of Tohu, they are above the lights of Tikkun. Kamoshi is like we're going to explain later on. So in short language, and I'll try to explain this a little bit in 3 minutes or less. Yaakov is order in this world. Aisov is disorder, every man for himself. Yaakov is a law-abiding citizen. Aisov is the criminal. He does whatever he wants to. He defies all limitations, all boundaries, defies the law. In like the 30s, whatever, the 1930s in America, 30s, whatever, these people were big heroes, right? John Dillinger escapes from the police, whatever it is, the baby-faced Nelson. These people, they were like sort of the heroes. They made a big name for themselves. They made movies about them, right? He was a person, he defied the law. Now everybody's trying to be like that. No laws, no this. On the other hand, your normal abiding citizen, that was like, come on, not exciting at all. That's not an exciting life. On the other hand, it's orderly. That's what it's supposed to be, right? What do you call it? A church-going man. He's a good person. He obeys the law. That's like Yaakov. Yaakov wouldn't go to church, but I mean, so that's two different orders of reality. One order of reality is you just do whatever you want. You just do whatever you want. The Nazis were big at that. That was a big thing by them. And it has tremendous power and tremendous, no conscience whatsoever, no regrets. No, it's just, you just, like they used to say, think with your loins, think with your arms. Just do it, just do it. No, kill babies, kill everybody. Just no regrets whatsoever. No, that's very powerful. It's very powerful. You can get what you want. And you say, I want it all and I want it now. That's Aisov. And that certainly is an option. Says the Rebbe that this option of being like an animal, doing which is really has a tremendously high source. If we can only unify both of these, that the people who are harmonious in this, they have the energy and the power of Aisov, and you can put this into the order of Yaakov, then you get like genius. You get genius, you get fantastic, right? It's amazing. If you can just organize it. And that's what Yaakov wanted to do. Yaakov wanted to do, okay, now what does it mean to organize it? Under what plan are we organizing it? If you get a bunch of instruments all together, and like we said before, and they all play whatever they want to, so that's okay, everybody expresses. But if you can get all those instruments really to take all of that energy and put it all together in one composition, then everybody's playing with all of their energy, with all of their this, and it sounds good. And you can get like 5,000, members of an orchestra or something like that, and you can play, some sort of a concert. Fantastic. Excuse me. So but here, what's the composer? Here, the composer is God, and the sheet music is the Torah. So we're trying, if you can get all that, and who's creating all this business? Who's creating Aisov? God is creating it. So in its source, everything is good. And not only is it good, but in some ways, Aisov in his source is even better than Yaakov. Yaakov, he's trying to make order from the world, but the world is the whole idea. And Aisov represents the world. So Aisov, if there's no order, that comes out to be evil. That's external. But Aisov, if there is order, if it does go according to the Torah, which that's what Yaakov wanted to do, is then that's the ideal order. And that's the idea of the Geula, the future redemption with Moshiach. Then there's life and meaning and blessing. Okay, that's what Yaakov wanted to do, was to bring life and meaning of blessing into the world. Here he had all this thing about the breaking of the vessels. He didn't talk about that, and we'll talk about that later. But that's what is going on. So, okay, what's the Rebbe talking about here? He's talking about reality. He's talking about reality. If you look in the world and you see that evil people are succeeding, this is the reason why. Because that's the way God made the world. God made the world that evil people can succeed, at least externally or temporarily. But they can succeed. They definitely can. And they have more power and they have more energy and they scare people, and the people are, they how do you say, entice people. Kamash in the spirit, like we said before. Also, what's it? Okay. Yaakov, Chashav, Yaakov, now they're coming to meet. The holy Yaakov and the evil Aisov are coming to meet. Why does he even want to meet him? You keep away from him. He says, no, Yaakov thought, Aisov nidbarer, that Aisov is a person, right? And he thought that Aisov he would realize his challenges, and he would realize that he was given these difficulties from God, because God wants him to work on it. Just like Yaakov realized that all the situations that he was in with Lavan and the cheating, that Lavan cheated him, and etc., that was all from God, and that he didn't know what to do with it. So his big problems of Aisov is his own urges from the inside. His own urges to do evil. So Yaakov thought that just the way I was working on my part and purifying love, and so Aisov was purifying himself. So therefore he wanted to meet him. Thought he could meet him. And 1 minute, just turn the page over here. 1 minute, how do I turn the page? Oh, here it is. He thought he would meet up with Aisov, and that's how our Torah portion begins, right? He thought that Aisov had already, Aisov had already returned to his source. That's what I'm looking for. Excuse me for these temporary delays here. It's all for the good. Here we go. Oh. Chazal the Shosha, he thought that he went up to his, that Aisov had really reached his high source, beginning some makif in the Tohu, these levels of the surrounding levels we talked about of Tohu, the lights of Tohu, of confusion, that's before, that's higher than Tikkun. Tikkun is what Yaakov is. So he thought that Aisov had fixed himself up, and Aisov was just waiting to meet up with Yaakov, so together they could work and make a perfect, harmonious, but exciting and joyous world. Yaakov would bring the harmony, and Aisov would bring the excitement and the fun. Therefore, it says that Yaakov sent Malachim, he sent all these messengers, angels in front of him. It says mamash, the real angels. Hainu el bechina shalamayla. He said lefanav. He sent Yaakov. He sent angels lefanav. He sent these messages before him. What does it mean before him? Higher than himself. Before means preceding a higher level. Yaakov sent these angels or messengers, whatever they are. He sent them to a level which was only represented by Aisov. Aisov is higher than Yaakov in his source. El Aisov Achiv, Seira, to this place of Seir, which is the Malchim Kadmoim. This is what's called the primordial kings of Tohu. Bechinas Makifim, these surrounding levels. Kedei, in order Lahamshich Bechinas Makifim, to draw down these low levels of Tohu to him Lamata Betikun. Shehu Bechinas or Panini, this is an inner light. Ya'ir Amakif, then the surrounding light should shine into the inner light and they should unite together. Okay, what's going on? Aisov is, how do you say, unrestrained. Unrestrained, really unplugged. I don't know if that's a good word. Totally unrestrained. Power, right? He goes into himself and he thinks, whatever I want to do, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever I think, whatever I want, that's tremendously powerful. Tremendously powerful. In the beginning, if you ever saw these, I hate to keep bringing this up, but it's the best example I can think of. If you ever saw these rallies of the Nuremberg rallies of the Nazis, they had like 1 million people there. I don't have to count how many there were. And the people just have like stars in their eyes. They're just, in another world. We're going to conquer everyone. With great glee, they're sending their children, their sons into battle to kill and to get killed. And just, there was nothing more. And it worked. And it worked. It worked. He won all the battles in the beginning, and it was just, killing and victory everywhere. Everybody was just in euphoria. Euphoria. On the other hand, what was his big enemy was the Jews. Why the Jews? Because the Jews, they bring Torah into the world. And the Torah is order. You cannot do what you want. That's what the Torah says. You cannot do what you want to do. Right? Just because you want to do it and you like to do it and you succeed in doing it, it doesn't mean that it's right. And then the Nazi philosophy was there's no such thing as right. If we succeed, that's right. That's what's right. There's no ultimate right or wrong. There's only what's powerful. Right? This borrows very heavily from the philosophies of Nietzsche and things like that, even though Nietzsche was not really an anti-Semite, it was not, and forget about that, comparative philosophies, but it's a very, very powerful idea, even to the point that there was the famous Wagner, and he wrote a little pamphlet about how the Jews can never be original. They can never really be creative. They can only take other people's ideas and mold them on, because the Jews are essentially a blemished people, because they have this conscience that bothers them. This conscience, and the conscience that they tried to cripple the whole world with this conscience. So they made up the Torah to limit everybody and to cripple everybody. That's the philosophy of Aisov. The philosophy of Aisov. But on the other hand, as destructive as this is, when it is, if it can be, how do you say, tamed, then that's the whole purpose of the world. That's the whole purpose of the world. The purpose of the world is that every aspect of the world, including all the energy, when the energy is like the atomic power, how much energy is revealed in one little atom, that all the godliness which is revealed in the whole world, this tremendous energy can be released, but in an orderly way. That's what it's supposed to be. So it says that really, before God created the world, these forces of power were existing. The angels, as if one angel appears, we saw with Abraham, one angel could destroy a whole complex of cities. One angel destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and there was all these other cities together with it. It destroyed one angel. And angels are just creations. Angels are just creations of God. What are the source of the angels? It's even more powerful, even more potentially destructive. But in its source, it has no connection to the world. If that power, that untamed power comes tumbling into the world, then it's pure destruction. That's what's called these primordial kings of Tohu. But he said that as they're expressed in the world, if they're not tamed, so it's pure destruction. But if it can be tamed, right, then that's wonderful. That's what Yaakov, the source of Aisov, therefore, is this level of Makifim, these surrounding levels. And he wanted to draw these levels of Tohu to him, to Yaakov, that he could fix up the world, that in an inner light, metal shine. In a simple way, that's called happiness. When is a person happy? When he forgets about his problems, he gets above the world. And then if you can bring that happiness into everything that he does, then that's good. If he doesn't bring it into everything that he does, then it's a big, big problem, because the world is very, very problematic. And if a person always wants to be happy, the way to do it is you take some drug or something like that, and that's people get addicted to things because they want to be happy, they want to be themselves, they just want to feel good all the time without thinking about God, without thinking about the creation, without thinking about anything positive. So that's what Yaakov wanted to do. And therefore, Yaakov commanded these angels, this is what you should say to Aisov, I lived with Lavan, and I have an ox and a donkey. Hainu, what does it mean? Shehodia, that Yaakov commanded these messengers that he sent to Aisov in the form of angels. They happen to be angels. But the main thing is they were messengers. What should these messengers tell Aisov? Lodia, to let him know, that Yaakov said, I have already finished my whole order of tikkun of the world of Atzilut. That's the beginning of this orderly world. Ki called this world of Tohu was before these levels of Atzilut and all these things. Before God spoke and created the world, right? Speaking and creating the world, that comes from Atzilut, this aspect of God called Atzilut, the dimension, if you want to call it, of God. And Tohu is above that. So it says, you should know that I've already finished fixing up all this order of creation, how it is. He called the all these levels from Atzilut, the level shore, ox, chamor, son, eved, v'shivcha. These are all animals, but they're all hinting at these spiritual levels that Yaakov fixed up. Kulam nisboru, I fixed them all up by means of this shame Ma that I have. This name Ma, this gematria of 45, the name of God, which is man. But that's what it means by Yili. They are to me. All this is because in Lavan Garti. How did he fix it up? Because I lived with Lavan, Yaakov said. Perish Bichin is Lovan Elyon, that I, even though I was in this world and I was in this evil with this evil person, Lavan, but I was attached to the source of Lavan. And remember, we learned that last week, the upper whiteness. Shemisham Hoya Iker Koach Hashefa, the Yaakov, that's where the main blessings came to Yaakov. Then Yaakov was Atzilus, and Yaakov received from this level of the upper Loven, which, if you remember, we learned in the previous, comes from the essence of God. From there, he got the power to fix up everything. Since I finished my work of tikkun completely, so now, Aisov, you are able, now you, Aisov, you can join with me and take your inner levels, and we can join together of Tohu, and it's going to be wonderful. The world is going to be fixed up. There couldn't be this level of the surrounding levels of the makifim. Huh? Let me give you an idea that I just popped into my mind. Let's just imagine, how could this fix up? Let me just give you an idea. Got the Pope. The Pope is like the, if you can say it, the personification of bad, of evil, of idolatry. But he's tremendously powerful. Arguably the most powerful person in the world. He's got 1.5 billion people that are just, every word that he says, they do. I don't think there's anybody in the world that has that. 1.5 billion people doing whatever you say, right? Let's say one day he stands up and he says, listen, I made a big discovery last night. Our whole religion is just totally wrong. It's a big lie. And what is going to happen, by the way? I'm serious, excuse me. And it says it's a big lie, and it's a big fake, and it's not so, and all these stories that we misinterpreted the Torah, and we're tricking everybody, and all this, and you have to worship only God. If he would say that, and he would say that the truth is by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and you have to listen to what he says, all of a sudden, what would happen? In one instant, pop, 1.5 billion people would start saying, thank you, God, for creating me, right? You're creating the whole world. I love only you. Let's do the 7 Noahide commandments in one instant, right? But it's not that way. To leave all that power, to leave all that, how do you say, popularity, to leave all that in 1 second is very difficult. All that egotism, that selfishness, right? That everybody's got everybody in the world scared, and everybody this, you're going to go to hell, you're going to this, that. All of a sudden, everything goes wrong. That's what Yaakov wanted to do with Aisov. Interestingly enough, Aisov is called Edom, and Edom is Rome. We are now in the exile of Edom, of Aisov, Rome. So in other words, it is not only possible, it is certain that it's going to occur. But Yaakov wanted to make it occur back then. This is like almost 4,000 years ago. And that Tohu, which is tremendous power and success and all these things, should meet up with Tikkun and say, listen, the power is great, the success is good, but only if it's on God's terms. It has to be on the terms of God, of the creator of the universe, which might mean you have to take Yitzchak and sacrifice him on the altar. You might lose everything, or at least risk losing everything. But if that's what God wants, that's what we do. That's the idea. Yaakov is, I'm going to do whatever the creator wants. I don't care about power. I don't care about pleasure. I don't care about popularity. I don't care about anything. I only care about one thing, doing what the creator wants to perfect the creation. If it means self-sacrifice, if it means being a loser, whatever it means, I'll do it. That's Yaakov. And Aisov is, what are you talking about? My whole thing is success, feeling good. That's what's called the makifim, surrounding levels. Makif means surrounding levels. There's no law. There's no holds barred, like they say. The Tov, she'im lo nigmar tikun, because so Yaakov had to fix up himself first. If Yaakov wouldn't have not finished his job completely, there couldn't be this drawing down of this makifim, like it says in the Zohar. If Yaakov didn't finish what he was doing, he couldn't bring about a utilization of the power of Aisov. Like it says in the Zohar, the late birkata, that a blessing cannot rest ba'ata rekanis, in an empty place. That's why the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Moshiach, stresses the Jews have to get it together. The Jews have to repent. The Jews have to change themselves. The Jews have to fix themselves up. The Jews have to learn, right? The Jews are the chosen people. Everything depends on the Jews. Why? That the Jews are like Yaakov. Yaakov has to fix himself up first. And after, a blessing doesn't rest except in a complete place. But now, then now that Yaakov said, I have finished my work, Betachlis, harizeh, atar shalem. Now I have made a complete vessel for the holding the blessings and this power of Aisov, right? Like making a dam to control these tremendously powerful waters. You have any idea how powerful water is? It's just, frightening. How powerful when there's floods. It's just frightening how much power water has. You look at the water, it's very peaceful, it makes you calm. You go on the wall, you stand and look at the river, you stand and look at the ocean. It's a very calming, peaceful thing. If water is uncontrolled, it's one of the most frightening things that there could possibly be. One of the most frightening things. If a flood comes, I don't know if it's worse a flood or a fire, which is a flood. It just comes, wipes everything away, tremendous power, right? But if you make a dam, then you can utilize the power of the flood. That's the thing. Yaakov is like the dam. He is the ability to utilize. And Aisov is like the flood. He's the Mayim Rabin. Sharoi Leo, because but not now. Yaakov said, now that I have finished making my vessel, and I can utilize, I can accept and utilize this infinite energy that you have, these flood waters that you have, Aisov, Shalom, Sharoi Liot Bo, Hamshachas Amakifim. Now I can draw down these surrounding levels, these uncontrollable levels. And therefore, therefore he sent these angels to tell him, I hope I found favor in your eyes. In other words, Yaakov should have run away from Aisov. He's been running away from him already for 35 years. All of a sudden, he's coming now to meet him. Why does he want to come and meet him? So because Yaakov, after he finished loving, he realized, now I have finished my part of the fixing of the world. Aisov, you're my twin brother. I hope you've also been working on yourself. Let's get together. We're going to fix, the whole world is going to be fixed in an instant. That you can shine down your level of makif to me, your surrounding level to me, in the world of tikkun, in the world that has been ordered. And that's what is in the chen. To find chen, chen means a special deep blessing. Chen. They call it in English grace. Because Yaakov said, I have fixed everything up. I have transformed darkness into light. I fixed up Lavan. I came away from Lavan and I transformed the flocks and his riches. I transformed it to godliness, to be beneficial to the world. So now I have a utter shalim. I have a complete place. If so, I am now properly prepared to find chen, to draw down this chen, this amazing blessing from you. Aisov, you're the source of the blessings. That's what he's sending to his brother. And I am just able to use these blessings. Good, now we're ready to fix up the whole thing. The Yeshuva Malachim, these angels, these messengers came back to Yaakov and they said, we came to your brother Aisov and he's coming to meet you and he has 400 men with him. What does it mean? He has an army of 400 men and he wants to destroy you. Perish Shuvas Malachim, what does this mean spiritually? Hukach. Let's go in this, we're now in the same motif as we had before. Yaakov meets up with Aisov because he wants to fix up the whole world. He wants to correct the whole world. He wants to make the world a beautiful place, a happy place, a dynamic place, and Aisov can supply all of these things. Happy, dynamics, life, joy, right, vitality, all these things he can provide. Aisov. So Yaakov said, I'm ready, right? I got the whole thing ready. The dam is built. The how do you say, the machinery is in place. Let's go. I got the car ready. You just provide the gas. Aisov. And Aisov came back and he said, I am going to crush you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to destroy you. Yeah, Yaakov said, well, that's not exactly what I wanted to hear. He said, the angels came back and he said, even though that machmascha from you, you're already ready, that should be drawn down to you from the surrounding level of tohu. Because nimsa b'cha shlemus, because you, Yaakov, you have completed yourself. The world of tikkun, everything is fixed up, everything is ready. But what can we do? Shamanius, that the obstacle is mitzad from what happened? Mitzad Aisov, from Aisov. Achicha, your brother. Shua dayan lamata, he's still below. Bibichin Shavira, in this broken state, like he said, the broken vessels, Velonit bar dayan, and he has not been refined yet. In Cain, if so, how is he going to give you any blessings from his source, which we said is the surrounding level of Tohu? He is supposed to provide with you. Aisov is supposed to provide to Yaakov inspiration and joy and all these things. What are you talking about? He's using this all for himself. He's totally selfish. Aisov is still down here below. And what's the proof that he's still below? That he's not going to. Aisov has not fixed up anything whatsoever. Shehu b'shviru. What's the proof that he's broken? Because he's coming with 400 people. Why 400 people? Well, 400 people. 100 people is enough. How many people did Yaakov have? Right? He had 12 tribes. That's all that he had. It's no match for 100 people. He had 100 people. Let's make it just a little bit bigger, even though it's very late. Oh. What's this number 400? He says, no, 400. 400. Ooh, 400. That's a terrible number. That shows a number of division, of breaking. For Pirish Dalit Meod, what is 400? 400 people. What does it mean, 400? I'll look at this note that you wrote in a minute. What does it mean, 400 people? Dinim Kashim. These are severe powers of, how do you say, judgment, retribution, destruction, Shalachitzonium. And these are hard, powerful, unrestrained powers of destruction. 400. Why number 400? We'll see. This comes from a spiritual level, which is called the 400 Bati Dinim Kashim. These are what the 400, that is, difficult courts, places of judgment. Bati Dinim Kashim, Shim Mishtachim, that are found. Spiritual, the 400 hanging judges. Kamosh Katuv, like it says in Idra Rabbah, in one of the books of the Zohar, one of the chapters of the Zohar called the Idra Rabbah, the big room. We can note it like it's known, Sheshorish, that the source of these 400 men of Aisov came from these 400 shekel kesef, from the 400 coins of silver that Abraham gave to Ephron. That these 400 shekel, this is the thing of the 400 worlds of pleasure. Dairati tzadikayu the alma, the yarti that will inherit the tzaddikim in the world to come. This is a tremendous level of upper pleasure. Atik kadisha, something like, remember we learned about like lovin. We learned. This is a level which connects between the essence of God and the world of Atzilut. Like we said, that's what we in the Kabbalah they call it Keter, God's crown. The 400 comes from this tremendous levels of pleasure. But the problem is when they come down into this physical world, as its big problems. Let's just skip to here. We'll go back to this tomorrow. But until the good of these 400 levels of pleasure and God's crown are revealed in the world, they came so far down that they became the 400 evil soldiers of Aisov. And this is the level of sackcloth. Sak is the numerical value of 400, 300 and 100, 400. Al Bishamaim Kedros, the sak asim al kasutam in Isaiah. And it says also the Torah puts on sackcloth. Sack, that's the 400. So these really good things in the source, which are the 400 worlds of pleasures for the tzaddikim, but when it comes down into the world, it's removed from its source, from its meaning, then it becomes a terrible thing. Terrible thing. That's a sackcloth that clothes the sackcloth of mourning because we can't see God. And that's what Aisov reveled in. That's what he wallowed in. The separateness from God. He loved it. Right? Egotism, selfishness, destruction, nothing like it. Death. Oh, what could be better than that? Right? Every second, death makes every second of life more meaningful, especially if you can kill other people, right? Then you feel like God. You feel great. Right? That's what all these movies now you see is people killing each other. Oh, see, this guy's going to kill him. He kills him back. He kills 5 people, kills 10 people. He killed them with this, with that. It's so exciting. Right? It's exciting. That's love. That's Aisov. That's Aisov. And Yaakov is life, organization, peace, love, friendship, meaning. That's the war that's going on. In its source, all this evil is really good when it's in its source. And that's what Yaakov wanted to do, was raise it up to its source, as we'll learn, God willing, more tomorrow. Let's see, somebody asked a question over here. Yeah, okay, I won't mention him anymore. Good, you're right. Got a good point. Good point. Even though, if like my wife says, if you look around, you see that the Nazis came out with a better reputation. Right? People don't think as badly about them as they do about the Jews. Right? I'm guaranteeing you, more people. There's now the big thing, anti-Semitism. There's Nazism. Okay, but we'll talk. You're right, 100%. Shouldn't mention it. Not worthy. It brings you down just to think about it. So we, God willing, will not think about it. It's just that it's such a good example of how what Aisov is. It's the personification of the dreams of Aisov. This destruction and uncontrolled power. Okay, let's go to, and that's what Yaakov wants to fix up. And Yaakov is the Jewish people, so we've got a hard job ahead of us. Let's go.